Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Feminine Ascendant Circle podcast. I'm your host, Katie TT, and today I'm with a very special guest. Very excited to have her on. Her name is Lynn Grace, and she is a phenomenal, multi-talented entrepreneur. And today we're going to be focusing a little bit on one aspect of the work that she does, which is HSPs, highly sensitive people. How do highly sensitive people thrive in challenging times, such as the one we find ourselves in with COVID, with tension around racial issues, etc. So, Debbie, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is very exciting. Guys, I have been following her work for the last 4+ years, and I can personally attest, Debbie has helped me personally navigate being a highly sensitive person. This work that she does is really, really supportive and nourishing, and it does help people thrive. So I'm very excited to have you on. Debbie, do you want to share a little bit more about what you do?
Well, I've been on an interesting journey. Like it's, people like, I think when you leave college, you think you're going to be on this straight path that you figured out, right? And that's not exactly what happened to me. I started off in the marketing industry in the 80s, and I was working for an agency for direct mail. If you remember actually getting something in an actual physical mailbox, an envelope, and you pulled it open, right? I used to do those kinds of mailings, direct mail programs for clients like Citibank and Hewlett Packard. And then from there, I was vice president of marketing for a $4.5 billion financial institution. So my background really was marketing. And so I have an expertise in that. And so I decided to, since I was vice president, I promoted myself to president and of my own business. And I started my business actually in 1994, which sounds like prehistoric at this point. And so I had a plan. I was going to become a marketing consultant, which I did, but then I ended up unplanned becoming an author and becoming a professional speaker. So I was speaking all over the world on marketing and direct marketing. And then like other people, life throws you some real curveballs, like worth getting now, some huge curveballs. And so right at the beginning of starting my business, I went through a very painful divorce. And me, the left brain analytical, I think some people, I didn't really know what being highly sensitive was at that point. But it was a really challenging time. And so I turned to my support system, and I turned to my older sister, who was an energy worker and a healer and an intuitive. And quite honestly, I had no idea what she really did. I was this left brain analytical marketing professional expert. And so she said some magic words that changed my life and have literally, it was the most impactful moment that affects what I do today. And she said, it's time for you to learn what I do, which kind of took me out of nowhere. And I'm like, why would I do that? And she said, because it will help you heal. And if there's a time like we're experiencing today where you want to remember what it's like to wake up happy, you want to remember what it's like to wake up like life is good, it's getting better, right? And in my emotional state, I'm like, I will do anything to wake up and feel happy again. So I found myself building this marketing consulting business by day, and by night, I was learning this form of energy work called flow, alignment, and connection. And it's in very simple, practical terms, it means the ability to have the ability to track energy flow in any person or situation and see where there's an energy, and then facilitate the flow so the energy block is released. So in life, an energy block would look like pain, emotional pain. Physical pain would be an energy block in your body. Emotional pain would be like a block in, having fears or feeling lack or worry or stress. Excuse me. And in a business, it would look like your business is not doing well. So those would all be examples of actual real world energy blocks. Well, I was doing it only to help myself heal, but something really interesting happened. And this is, and this, which led me what I do today. So I started to get new clients, marketing consulting clients. And not long into like learning this energy work by night, not telling anybody that what I was doing. And I was sitting across from a new client one day and asked them the questions I always ask, which is, the challenges you're having in your business. And this client started to talk to me about the challenges, and all of a sudden this voice came in my head. And this voice really clearly, it was really clear, and it said, ask that person what happened to them when they were 5, because they had this, and it starts to say that they had this significant event, then now they have these fears, and they have these fears, and then it started to tell me the fears and what's affecting their business. And this I was talking about, nothing the client was saying as they were talking. And so I'm having this in-body, in my mind experience going, what the hey? Like, I don't want to ask that person that question. Why would I ask them what, 5? But
right,
I had this argument going on in my head. And finally the voice won. And so out of my mouth, I said, I don't know, I've got sort of this intuitive hit, and I'm just curious, to know. And then I kind of blurted out, am I doing this? And the person stopped talking, and their jaw dropped, and then the tears started. And they said that something, and they told me what happened to them when they were 5 and how significant it was, and the fears that they have. And they basically confirmed everything that I had heard in my head. It was true. And somehow by the end of that conversation, they felt like a different person, and then their business skyrocketed.
Wow.
And so this kind of went on over and over again. And all of a sudden I found that I had this gift kind of got born of this intuitive gift, that I had these downloads. And then it started happening where I would start to track the energy flow. So I can track the energy flow in anything, in a conversation, to find out. That's how I really work with my clients, to know what's going on or not. I'm tracking the flow on multiple ways that they don't even know about. And so that led me to some really interesting times of, starting to help people in their personal life besides their business, without ever having that intention to do that. But it seemed like every time I had a conversation, I could get the energy of what was really, and they opened up and released that energy. And then I'd give them solid business and marketing advice. Their business, as soon as they kind of had that internal release, they could focus on externally what to do, and their business. And I wasn't telling anybody about what I was doing. I started to go on this very intensive, accelerated spiritual path. And things were going along fine until one day, this voice, I woke up and there was this voice that came back in my head. It was very clear, and said, go to your computer and turn it on. And so I woke up, I jumped out of bed, went to my computer, turned it on, and I started to type a document. And it took me hours, and I'm like, looking at the screen, what I'm typing, I had no idea. It was just coming through me. And then when I was done, I read what I'd written, and it basically said, you came here on the planet to show people how to align with their soul, how to align with the universe, and just like that, you're showing them how to align their business. And I'm like, you got the wrong person. I'm a business growth expert. You clearly have the wrong. And I just sort of kind of freaked me out. I have to be honest. This first time I had that experience, it freaked me out. And I'm like, no way. I'm here to help people grow their business. And so I put my finger on the delete button and pretend I thought, well, nobody knows about this. I don't have to do this because I have no idea how to do this. Right. But I did delete the document, but I put it aside. And by now I'm teaching courses on mindset and business growth and personal development courses. And that voice didn't let up, and it came back. And one day I woke up again one day and said, go to your computer, turn it on. I turned it on, and out comes this email that I sent to my entire subscriber base at that time that said, I'm about to share my personal story that I've never shared before in public. And I'm going to share with you how to align with your soul, how to align with the universe, just like you align with your business. And I did that 3-part teleseminar series. I think that was like 2007, and my whole world changed. And from then on in, it was continual downloads from the universe saying, this is what we want you to do next. And this is what we want you to do next. And this is next. And in no time did it ever say, we want you to teach another marketing course. We want you to teach another business course. It kept going further and further along, like now show people how to really align with their calling, how to align with their purpose, how to align with their true soul path, but more importantly, how to live that path. It was about living a vibration of their purpose. And then one day the voice came and said, now it's time for you to teach a course for highly sensitive people. And of course, I always kind of look at this point, I just go, okay. But there were many times where I'm kind of like, why? What highly sensitive people, why would I do that? And so you obviously heard one of those seminars. And so for several years, I started to teach classes for highly sensitive people. Because as it turns out, all of these years, since the time I started my business and went online, I was attracting people who were holistic healers, who were energy workers, because nobody was helping them. Nobody understood them. But being that I was a closeted energy worker at that time, but outwardly, outside to the public, to the John Q. public, I was an expert, but I understood how they think and how they operate. Yeah. And because I'm also empathic and a highly sensitive person myself, I kept giving people these tools to help them get grounded, tools to help them protect themselves from unwanted energy, because I had downloaded and started to learn all those tools for myself. And I kept realizing that these people were sensitive like I am. And I'm like, look, if you don't get grounded and understand how nothing's going to help you in your business, because you'll always be overwhelmed and kind of shut down. So that was an interesting path that it took me on. And today, what's happened is I don't teach any business courses, but what I do is I work with people who have typically spent years working on themselves. They've done a lot of personal development work. They're committed to their spiritual journey. And what they're looking for, and most of the people I work with are really fairly successful. Doctors, I work with doctors and lawyers and real estate agents and then holistic healers and life coaches and speakers and authors, really people that are here to make a difference. That's the other thing, is that people that work with me are here to make a difference, and it's important to them. But there's always a place where you want more flow. Places where like no matter how outwardly successful people are, they're still human. Mm-hmm. They still have some wounding. They still have something that's not right in their life, whether it's in their personal life or in their business life, or they're working so hard at what they're doing, they're kind of always, going into burnout. Mm. So the people that come to me, they really want to be in that, operate from that highest vibration, and like they want to know how to, first of all, release the energy block, whatever they're experiencing, and then stay in flow. And when you do that, the universe keeps opening up bigger and bigger doors, and which presents new sets of, not sort of challenges in that, how do I navigate this? How do I navigate the unknown? And I now have a PhD in navigating the unknown. So yes. That is what it's turned into. Somehow I didn't know this was a new expertise that I was going to be an expert in. But I definitely have a PhD in navigating the unknown, navigating reinvention, navigating, walking that spiritual path, especially when you get thrown a bunch of curveballs, and navigating, staying in grace and in flow in the highest vibration.
I love that. And that is perfect for today's crazy ass times. As we are filming this, whether you're watching it in September of 2020 or some other date, we are currently going through the COVID issue, and we are also experiencing a lot of tensions relating to race issues in the United States and some other places as well. So it can be a challenging time for highly sensitive people. And I'm definitely, you know, fall in that boat as well. Highly, I would argue, hypersensitive individual, very empathic. And it's, having taken one of your courses, Debbie, I can say that you are the queen also of boundaries. So thank you for teaching me that, as well as being able to navigate the unknown at a very, very high level. You are teaching people how to monitor their consumption, how they're monitoring their energy intake. And I deeply appreciate that as well, because that's really helped me navigate these challenging times. You look at consumption, how much news do I want to watch? How do I want to get my news? What do I not want to be watching right now, or really anytime? And those sorts of things, right? So first of all, thank you for sharing your story. I think it's incredible what you've created in your life and your gifts. And I'm obviously a huge fan. So I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah. So we're talking today about how does the feminine being who is highly sensitive, and first of all, I'd love to ask you your definition of highly sensitive, because I know there's some nuances there between like what's a highly sensitive person versus what is an empath and all that. But how do we not only survive this shit, but actually thrive in it? Because I know so many people who are just feeling like the waves and the up and downs. And how do we harness these waves? How do we harness them to thrive as highly sensitive people? You know?
Yeah. Wow, that was a lot. There's a lot of questions in there. So
I will circle back if we forget. Yeah, no worries.
Let me first break it down with my personal, highly HSP 101. Okay. There's not the medical terminology. It's not the science behind it. It's not, and Elaine Aron wrote The Highly Sensitive Person, coined the term. And if you want the real, not, research behind it, go read her book. It's a great book. Okay. So here's the way I experience it. And the thousands of people that I work with that are highly sensitive is that we were born without the shock absorber system that somebody who's not highly sensitive was born with. So imagine if you were driving on a bumpy road and you were driving a car that had zero shocks. Like you would be basically hitting the ceiling and bounced all over the place, and it would hurt. I mean, it would literally hurt, absorb the shock. So if your car didn't have shock absorbers, you'd have a big problem, and especially even with a seatbelt, it would hurt because you'd be, going up and down. So being born highly sensitive has to do with your five senses, right? It has to do with, taste, smell, hearing, what am I going to say? Touch and sight. And so there's the spectrum of somebody born without those shock absorbers, but it tends to be, there's always a spectrum of which is the shock absorber you kind of don't have, right? So for instance, I don't have a problem with light. I'm like anybody, blinding light would hurt anybody's eyes, right? But I'm not sensitive to bright lights. I'm very sensitive to loud noises, and some loud noises and versus others. Like a motorcycle going down the street that's really loud feels like it's basically going right through my body. That's how I experience it, right? Yeah. So a jackhammer, it's like you might as well be jackhammering my head, right? So there are certain noises that literally I feel them in my entire, short-circuiting my entire nervous system. So, people that are highly sensitive, because of that, they can be more prone to anxiety because they don't have these shock absorbers. So there's all this stimuli from the world coming at you. There's a stimuli of an abundance of messages, a stimuli of noise, a stimuli of constantly seeing things. And so the downside of somebody that's highly sensitive, they don't learn tools to manage their daily life, will be that be more prone to stress than the person that's not highly sensitive. They're more prone to stomach issues. They're more prone to like headaches and migraines. They're more prone to, they're more prone to overwhelm. They're more prone to burnout. It doesn't mean that the average person doesn't also experience all those things, but their limits to when they experience them is much lower than a person who has that shock absorber. They can absorb up to here, and a highly sensitive person can only absorb up to here before they go to the challenging types of reactions. Now, that being said, I am grateful for being the one of the 15 to 20% estimated population in the world that was born a highly sensitive person. Because the gift of it is that highly sensitive people, because they're constantly having their feelers, there's no shock absorber, their feelers are always out, so they're far more intuitive. They rely on the things, they rely on their inner sense to protect themselves. So they have it, it's like a person who is blind, they have more acute hearing. They really are much more acute hearing. They can hear a noise that you and I might not hear, unless it's much louder, right? A person that's deaf is got acute. They rely on the senses that are left. So for us, we rely on our intuition much stronger. We also, now you get into that place of being empathic, we feel the pain of others. And so highly sensitive people, the world can't live without them, because you know where they go? They become the nurses, they become the doctors, they become the therapists, they become the people who start charity organizations. They become the people who are the champions of healing the planet, saving the whales. Like, these are the places that highly sensitive people navigate to, because they are empathic and they don't want to see anything or anyone in. So where would our world be with us? Where would the world be, without the healers that we were born to be? So it was no accident for people who are highly sensitive to be born with that.
The world needs highly sensitive people.
Does. Like, most speakers many professional speakers are highly sensitive. Many authors are highly sensitive. Many musicians are highly sensitive. And they'll even talk about it. I've started to see musicians actually talk about it on, in articles. The world needs our creative life force energy. It needs our strong intuition. It needs our empathy and compassion. And boy, does it need our compassion more than ever right now in the world we're living in. So I choose to focus on what was the reason why God gave me this immense gift, because without being highly sensitive, I couldn't have the energy and have the gift that I have, that I use every day in my own life, and for sure with all of my clients. I wouldn't be able to do things at the level, not even close to the level that I do, without it. So I'm not giving it back. It's okay.
Me neither.
And I will tell you that the more I access my gift and my abilities, my energy skills and abilities from 25 years ago, it's a night and day difference. Here is where I started. Here, right, like up here. And so that's made me more sensitive over the years. It's made me more sensitive over the years. And yet, it just means that I, as a leader, as a transformational leader in the world, I myself, do my best to walk my talk and be as vigilant as I can, to use the tools to allow me to keep going to higher and higher vibrations, to be in great service to the world. Did I answer all of your questions in that whole thing?
Yes, you did. You did, and I wanted to circle back to something you said, because I thought it was really powerful. And you'd mentioned it a while back, but it just reminded me. So you had a moment where you were years ago, where you channeled this mission from source, from the universe, and it just kind of spilled out of you. And I can really relate to that. There, in times when everything is in just complete flow, I mean, there's things that I've channeled,
Yeah.
or channeled, that would have probably taken the average person or me, if I wasn't in flow, hours to write, and just flowed out of me in 15 minutes.
Right.
And that, I think, is the power of being connected. And there's something else you said about that as well, how when we are highly sensitive and we're in flow and we're using our gifts in really healthy ways and protecting ourselves, our protection is actually coming from our ability to trust our own intuition, our own connection to source. And I think that's a really powerful thing to highlight, because I don't know about you, and I don't, some of your clients, but I keep hearing the same thing from empaths and highly sensitive people. The biggest challenge, and I know my biggest challenge has been in my life, not feeling safe. Yeah. And I think it's because we're so turned on, that whole lack of shock absorber that you mentioned, which is like the perfect analogy for what it is. You feel so exposed to life. And that can be really challenging sometimes. However, when we are, especially, in a ability to create our own reality as adults and choice, listening to our own intuition can be the greatest protection. It's like a surprise, but that's the thing. It may not be like a literal physical protection. Sometimes it is, but I've found the best way to keep myself safe in life has been to trust that intuition. So I just wanted to share that was like a really cool thing that you highlighted, and that's been huge for me.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you saying all of that. And I agree with your definition 100,000%. And I'm really grateful for the gift as well. I used to really struggle with it. And I think many people do. There's a lot of folks on the planet that don't really understand how to navigate highly sensitive people.
Well,
right?
I think, here's the thing that you brought up. And I think this isn't just highly sensitive people. I think we're seeing it replace highly sensitive with gay, replace highly sensitive with Black, replace highly sensitive with women sometimes, take kind of minority or something that people are like considered different. Okay.
Marginalized,
so, right. So that predominantly people, we are, let me get the word right so that it comes out pronounced correctly. We are a herding, HERDING. We are herding creatures, meaning we belong, just like you see, any kind of animal that runs in packs, wolves, horses, like you look at any kind of herding type of animal, the weak don't survive. And so we, as these kinds of creatures, we want to belong, because biologically, it, in our like prehistoric wiring, it means that we won't get left out and we won't die. Okay, that's the prehistoric definition. Reality, what it's shown up in now in socialization is, if you don't, then you're different. And growing up, if I had $1 for any time somebody told me I was too sensitive, I would have been a multimillionaire before I even graduated college, right? Yeah. So you go up with this feeling. So now you've got a double whammy as somebody that's highly sensitive. If you were one of those people that was growing up teased, bullied, nobody understood you, kept telling you just to tell how many people told you to let it go, told you, you're too sensitive. All of those are coming from a person who's not highly sensitive, who has no idea what's going on in your physical body. And they think that the solution is, don't let that noise bother you. And you're like, okay, wait a second. To me, I always feel like I want to turn to somebody and say, if you had an allergy to peanuts, that would literally send you anaphylactic shock to the hospital, and I gave you one peanut, and that's what happened. It's like me saying, it was just one peanut. You know what I mean? Right? So you grew up with this feeling of being unsafe and that you don't belong. And I could tell you, Katie, unless my physical safety is like unprotected, like there's an imminent danger, in general, as a human being, as a highly sensitive person, first of all, don't care about belonging or not belonging. Because when you get to that place in your life on that spiritual path where you realize that a place of fear being place of that higher vibration, of that place of unconditional love, everybody belongs. We're all connected. We're all united. So I am not, I used to have that same thought and fear, right? But now I have so many tools, which is why I felt like teaching tools for highly sensitive people to physically feel protected, physically get grounded, physically protect yourself in an environment, which is the course that you took.
Yeah.
Once you got that nailed down, if you spent your life trying to belong, a dangling carrot always going to of you, because somebody else, you're always going to be different. And I hope that anybody that works with me or listens to me walks away going, the best thing that God ever did was made me unique, made me powerful, made me amazing, made me gifted. Because that's the point. Like, you were born a powerful person. And as far as I'm concerned, being highly sensitive gave you a little bit of a leg up to the rest of the universe that's not highly sensitive.
Yes.
Gave you a gift that is empowering, gave you a gift to be more intuitive, gave you a gift to be more compassionate, to be more empathetic, to be more loving, to be more giving, to be more heart-centered. Because that is I would prefer to live in. And for the people that aren't that way right now, I'm just going to keep pulling to my energy field more and more people that are that way, so that we become, whether you're or not highly sensitive, even not highly sensitive people, there's plenty of giving, loving, caring, compassionate people. And that is the energy field that the world is like literally starving for right now. Starving. So you ask me, how do you thrive? Well, you focus on how much love can you have pouring through your body? How connected can you stay to your intuition? Because if you are doing that, you will get all the information you need to move forward to make this world a better place. If you focus inwardly on how much can you fill your heart with love and compassion, from that place of abundance, all of the divisiveness that's going on out there, it doesn't solve COVID, but it does help you to reconnect with the human race that you're here to connect with. It does help you connect with the people you're here to. And so that's all I'm focused on during this time period. I am not a scientist. Never going to be a scientist, not the gift that I have, but I have faith that we are living in a world. This is one thing that's interesting, is it's taking a pandemic virus to unite the world. And it's uniting to some extent the scientific community, and any community is always going to have, like, I say this and you say that, right? Yeah. But in general, the entire world is on a race against the clock right now to solve this problem. It's not a United States problem. It's a problem in every corner of the world. And they're, actively working on that. So if you go from that perspective and start there and do all the things you should be doing right now to keep yourself physically and medically safe, right, that they're recommending, you do all of those things, then focus on the time you've been given as a gift in a very crazy way of and what's next for me to do to be of greater service in the world right now, because you've got the space now and the quiet time to do that. Like you can, and so from that place, it might be to lean in to the various causes that are disrupted. And I hope it is, like, I hope that is the message. my message that came through me, which was that voice, when that voice comes through me, it is like loud and clear, and it's, comes through me, and there's no arguing with it. There's no I used to try and argue with it, 15 years ago, but now it's like, I'm just the servant. Okay, that's what you want me to do, which is why I launched the Hour of Healing series, and was very clear. It's, free to the world, and I am getting email after email going. It's like that hour. I can't wait for that hour each month. It puts me, it resets me, it recharges me, it recalibrates me, and because I want people to be operating and living from abundance. So if you have an abundance of love coming through you, an abundance of compassion coming through you, think of all the people who don't have the resources that you do, who need that right now. And then there's no depleting you as a highly sensitive person. When you're coming from a place of abundance, it doesn't matter whether you're highly sensitive or not highly sensitive. You're not coming from a place of depletion. So,
and that is our gift. That is a big part of our gift, is the ability to feel and to be that much love. Yeah. So I mean, it's so powerful. I agree with you so much. And I think that highly sensitive people, I think we often underestimate ourselves because the world has told us that we're different in a not good way. Right?
There's something wrong with being different. And right. I will tell anybody, but mostly because, I've gotten such a close and personal I went on a discovery with my students, over those years, going, I hadn't really thought about it. It's just intuitive. It's just natural for me to use this tool. It didn't occur to me that other people weren't, right? Or that it was affecting them to the level it was. And then I'm thinking, well, think about yourself 20 years ago and how much it impacted you. I'm like, you're right. I had none of these tools. I could go back and rewrite my own history and go, man, if I knew this when I was a kid, how different my life would be, right? But I spent a lot of growing up wanting just to belong, feeling so different and so lonely for a real, and still had a loving family who deeply loved me, deeply cared about me, didn't have any, tragedies or anything like that. I really had people in my life that wanted to protect me, wanted to take care of me, did not understand me, thought they were really helping me, when they say you're too sensitive, or right. Like, let it go, or just ignore it, or toughen up, or all the things that well-meaning people are trying to tell you, not realizing how much that kept making me feel worse and worse, like more and more misunderstood, right? Yeah. But I don't have that experience now. I don't care if somebody doesn't understand me, quite honestly, because I surround myself with like a lot of people who do understand me.
Yeah. I mean, well, you've created this community, this huge community of people. I mean, so the ironic thing is all these highly sensitive and empathic people are out there potentially feeling different or not good enough or strange or whatever, and different. But the reality is there's so many of us out there. And look, you have a community, there are communities of people who come together and we're so alike, the HSP, the empaths. And so there is actually a space where you definitely belong. And I want to add something. You were talking about how it made you feel different. Yeah. And, I think that highly sensitive truly, it really is like on a practical and an intuitive spiritual level, it is such a superpower. Can I tell you, this is like a little bit like sassy, but I'm just going to share it. Like there's some times where, I'm highly sensitive on multiple levels, sight, sound, and smell for sure.
Yeah.
And I can often smell things that other people can't smell. Yeah. And if it's really good, I'll be like, haha, like,
yeah.
They can't smell them and I can, sometimes I'm not so good if it's something I don't want to smell, but again, it can steer you in another round. It's like, oh, I may not want to walk down that alley because I can smell that trash from like a mile away or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have an acute sense of smell too.
Right? Or it's like, oh, I know I'm going to really like going to this restaurant because their spaghetti or whatever they're cooking up right now is bomb.com. I can just tell. Yeah. Right? So talk about allowing it to steer you in the right direction, and also like literally noticing in real time other people don't have this ability. It's special. And so yeah, it can be challenging, but it can be also be really amazing and a really great protection tool as well. So
yeah. I mean, I
it's
think the
fabulous.
greatest thing is that what you brought out is the fact that if you experience things on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 meaning like it is like so intense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 1 meaning you could barely experience it. I think the non highly sensitive person experiences their 5 senses
Mm-hmm.
on a spectrum of like 4 to 7 typically, like they're in that range, like, so the same smell, the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so anything that we're sensitive to, we will kind of hang out between 7 and 10.
Yeah.
Right? So like I'm like you, my sense of smell is incredibly acute. My sense of hearing is very acute.
Mm-hmm.
My sense of taste is more acute, but taste not as much as my hearing and my smell for sure. And I'm a kinesthetic, so I'm a feeler.
Mm-hmm.
And so my sense of touch, but for a woman, you asked, you started this conversation, as a woman, what it means is that you're so much more in touch with your own sensuality. That's what
Yes.
sensuality is, right? It's that really the pleasure of your senses. And so it makes a smell be really a sensual experience. The smell of the bakery is like, you're like, okay, like, and especially if it's something that you love, and it goes at a higher level than, oh, that reminds me of my grandmother. That's like, really great. Not to put that
Yes.
down, but it takes things to a much more heightened level. And so there's that.
Yeah. I
Like
have
you
to wonder
said,
how many
there's
like
that. There's the other positive side of it. Right?
that's wonderful. I literally was just thinking, I wonder how many HSP foodies there are out there. There has to be like an F ton of us, because I can only imagine, like, I'm definitely a foodie. I don't know. Do you identify as kind of a foodie?
I would not qualify myself as a foodie.
Okay.
No. No, I
Definitely.
love food. I will, I will say I'm somebody that is an appreciative of food, but I think
Yeah.
foodies are like literally all the real experience of the taste that they're experiencing.
Yeah.
Yes, but I bet you're probably correct. I know that I
Probably.
could
And we're
go
all
work at a food
sensual,
factory. Yeah,
right? Yeah, we're
yeah,
all sensual. Foodies are not, but I love that too. And for women and feminine beings getting in touch with our sensuality, um, here we go. This is a great pathway to accomplish that. So hey, so I want to thank you so much for being on today. And you have some things you want to share with our audience, correct? Some offerings coming up. You mentioned the healing hour, which I personally love. Thank you for doing
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. And you'll have a link with that, so I don't have to
Yes, we're going to be
say it.
sharing
It's just a
links.
little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have a vision, and my higher vision is that we literally live in a world of unity and collaboration that is based on love and compassion and understanding.
Mm.
And there is nothing, the thing right now, there's nothing that's happening right now that's trying to bring us more unified, right? There's a lot of discord because we're not unified, right? So when I'm called to do something, that's always the overriding purpose. And it was that reason that I spent 25 years telling highly sensitive people to avoid toxic situations, heightened situations like we're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
Avoid them as much as you can because it affects you so much. And the overwhelm, bombarding of the news, which none of it is good, right? But when we experienced saw in real time the murder of George Floyd, which started like, they're still happening, and rightly so, the peaceful protests that started, and the protesting of the Black Lives Matter, I sent out a different email. And that email was, you can't avoid this. You want to lean into it.
Yeah.
Because we will never be a world of unified. And I mean, race and religion and sexual orientation you can appreciate people's differences, right?
Yeah.
And still live in a unified world. And it was that reason that I launched the Hour of Healing, because the only way somebody can lean into it without literally being exhausted emotionally and physically is to be living from a place of abundance. And the Hour of Healing was established so that I could take people have an hour retreat to, just to recharge, reset, and re-engage. And every hour, each month, I take people into usually with so I did 1 month was on inner calm peace, 1 month was on love, the last month was on faith, next month is on how do you stay in that place so you are coming and doing your own work and service in the world, and you know what your place is in the world to make it more unified and collaborative, but you're doing it from abundance. So that's what I launched. I launched the Hour of Healing series. It's 100% free. Will always be 100% free. I want people from all over the world. I have a lot of people from all over the world in it. The more people that we have this unified energy of high vibration. And also what happens in that hour is I guide people through actual intention setting that raises their vibration, so that when you're in that place of abundance, that's where you start to manifest the stuff you want in your life. So there's a little bit of manifesting that happens. I take people through that guidance, and I take them through a very powerful guided journey. From my end, the whole thing is channeled, meaning that I don't show up with notes. I don't show up with, I have no idea what's going to happen. Source has never let me down ever before, comes through me, and I bliss people out, basically. And I connect them back to their soul. And a lot of people get major downloads after that call. They get, a lot of insights. I've had a lot of people email me, they fell asleep, and then when they woke up, they had a big download. I've had people say that really blissed them out. I've had people say that was exactly what they needed. I've had people email me and say they can't wait for the next one. So that's the thing that the more people, the bigger the energy field we can get from a space of that high vibration of love. Then
that's beautiful.
The more we can shift the dialogue in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciate the work that you're doing in the world. It's wonderful. I've personally really appreciate it. I've benefited from it, and I know the audience will as well. This is really awesome what you're doing, especially with the Healing Hour. So I can't wait for the next one. So I don't know if we talked about this earlier, if you're open to doing, to blissing even more people out, with a little guided meditation, would you be open to doing that, or?
Sure. How much time? I just want to know, because sometimes
it's up to you. I personally have about 15 to 20 minutes. So I think that's
okay.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And so that way, is there anything else that you'd like to share too? Because I know that you said some people will fall asleep.
Tell me what it is that if you had a message that you wanted your listeners to, if you had an intention for your listeners, in what you're doing in your work right now, and you're look, if you just connected more to that feminine essence, or if you connected more love, or part of work, what would it be?
You are enough.
What? You are enough.
You are enough.
Okay, beautiful. So then that's what we'll do. I'll do a little bit of a guided journey on that. And so if you have any water, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to drink some water.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. And I just want to thank you before we go ahead with this, because again, I know some people are going to bliss out. If I weren't host of this podcast and kind of on, I would be probably falling asleep. So I just want to thank you so much for everything that you do, for sharing your gifts with us today, and
You'll wake up. You'll know. You won't fall. I think that you're unconscious enough right now because of your doing this.
Maybe. I don't know. But
Back.
I just wanted to thank you. So thank you.
I do know that. So I'll tell all of the listeners who are listening to this, because a lot of people listen to podcasts while they're driving. So I want to make a note. I wanted to take, Katie asked me to do a guided journey. When I'm doing this, I'm actually doing energy work, and you can't doubt this. Energy work is strong. And what it does is it opens up the energy flow for you personally, who's ever watching this or listening this, so that the energy transmission is strong enough that many people, even when they're sitting up, fall asleep when they're listening to me. They don't hear the words that I'm saying, but it's always going to be a powerful message. Like literally goes directly to your soul. And it shifts your vibration to the vibration that you've been looking for. So I'm saying all of this because you don't want to follow along with me if you're driving a car. Like go back home and be in a quiet space where you can hopefully sit up straight in a chair and close your eyes. Because so if you are listening to this and you're driving with your eyes open, don't just listen to the words I'm saying, but you are getting an energy transmission. So every time I do these kinds of things, I always say, please do not moving vehicle if you are when you're listening to this. So when I ask you to close your eyes, which is always, but even if you have your eyes open and you're driving, it's an energy transmission and it's pretty strong. So the other thing I will say before I do that is when you're listening to this is please make sure you drink plenty of water after it's done. Okay, you ready, Kitty?
Ready.
All right. So I'm going to invite you to sit up straight in your chair and sit with so that your back is all aligned with the back of your chair, and your torso is all the way to the back of the chair so that you feel your back fully supported by your chair. And rest your hands gently in your lap so that your arms are hanging loosely at your side. And have your feet flat on the ground so that you can feel the connection between the bottom of your feet and the ground, putting your awareness on that. And then close your eyes. And take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Take another nice, deep, cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Now take a nice, deep belly breath. So as you inhale and as you exhale, you feel your lower abdomen is going in and out, gently going in and out as you breathe deeply, allowing the energy flow in your body to open up. Take another nice deep cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Now for those of you that are listening to this and you have a very busy mind, a monkey mind, and all you can think about is your emails and everything, here's what you can do to quiet your mind and get the greatest value. As you take a nice deep inhale through your nose, count to 5 as you inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you exhale out of your mouth, count backwards in your mind. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue to take nice, deep cleansing breaths until you find that your mind is clear. And as you inhale and you exhale, take another nice, deep cleansing breath, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. Now take another nice, deep inhale and exhale and allow the muscles in your face to relax. Relax your forehead, relax your eyebrows, relax your eyelids, relax your jaw. Noticing how the energy is moving down your body, increasing the energy flow. moving down your spine, down your legs, out your feet, into the earth. Take another nice inhale in. Exhale out. Allow your shoulders to drop. Feel your arms hanging loosely, your hands resting gently in your lap. As you continue to breathe, feel yourself melting into the chair. Feel your torso melting into the bottom of the chair. Noticing with each breath, inhaling and exhaling, more and more energy that no longer serves you is being released. It's being released through your breath. As you exhale, that energy moves down your spine, down your legs, out your feet, into the earth. As the earth willingly receives anything that no longer serves. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. One more time, take a nice, deep, cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. This is a journey of your unique power. You came into being, you were born onto the earth. The moment your eyes opened, when you were born, you became an individuated human being. A human being with your own gifts, your own abilities, your own potential. Potential to grow, potential to learn, potential to experience all the possibilities that are available to you. As you take each breath, inhaling and exhaling, in that moment, there is more space for potential. The potential inside of you that are seeds that you choose to plant and grow. Each moment is born with a new opportunity that is there for you to receive. The more you connect with your own unique talent, unique gifts, unique expertise, the more you connect to the unique and powerful person that you are, the greater of the opportunities flow to you. The greater the resources flow to you. It is not dependent on the circumstances for which you were born. It is not dependent on the economy with which you were born into. It is not dependent on the family you were born into. You were born a unique individual. An individual with great power and great potential for who you are right here, right now, in this moment. And with that power, you have the potential to be of greater service, to be of greater purpose, to use it for humanity, for the greater good. That is your soul's journey. Your soul came with you when you incarnated into a human body to take you on an adventure so you could learn about your gifts, so you could learn about your power, so you could learn about your potential. Your soul guides you each and every moment to walk this earth in greater abundance, in greater purpose, and greater passion and greater prosperity and greater creativity. All this is available to you right here, right now, in this moment, and in the next moment, and in the moment after that. And it all starts with the seed of your potential. Our potential needs you to access it and to use it wisely. To use it wisely in the world that is in alignment with your calling and your purpose. That potential grows in flow and in prosperity and in abundance only when it is fed by your authentic power. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. One more time, take a nice cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. One more time. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And when you are ready, open your eyes. That was a good glass of water.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that very, very much. Gosh, I'm really looking forward to hearing all the wins and ahas after this session, after this beautiful sharing that we did today.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure even my cat loved it because she's just.
Oh yeah, animals do love the energy. Now I will say one thing for all the people listening to this. First of all, a couple things to do after you listen to is to drink a lot of water. It replenishes the energy that you moved through that experience. 2 is highly recommend to get a little air outside. And 3 is if you really, if you feel like something is bursting through you, please open up your journal and start writing. Whatever that message is about your potential, about your power, about your calling, about your purpose, anything that comes through you, now is the time you want to capture that. And please don't downplay, you know, whether you felt the energy or not, don't downplay it. It's very powerful and it will still keep integrating. So the integration period is really important. And I always like to, I need to share that with people because this stuff is powerful.
Yes, indeed, that's very true. Water, air, write, and wait, right?
Yeah, and or sleep if you need to sleep, or eat if you need to eat.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Debbie Lynn. I really, I love, like I said, I love your work. I'm an appreciation of everything that you, all your gifts. And I know the audience is really going to love it as well. So looking forward to hearing the ahas and the wins and the downloads. And we'll definitely share them with you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. I really appreciate it.